Nightingale is full of fascinating contradictions. This early access co-op survival crafting game jumps wildly between intriguing and confusing, aesthetically pleasing and outright ugly, intuitive and obtuse. It does a lot right, and it is a joy to build a life from the ground up across its varied and mysterious realms. But it also does a lot wrong, often stalling your progress with an infuriating economy. Nightingale's creative systems can certainly make it fun, but be prepared for frustration to rear its ugly head time and time again.
Before time itself, the realms have existed. Born of curiosity, we opened the first gateway to our endless Fae Wilds.
Nightingale takes place in a gas lamp fantasy world that feels fresh and unique in this genre. Earth as we know it is being swallowed up by a strange fog, which has scattered humanity across the realms of the Fae.
Wilt thou succumb to Fae lands beyond thy wit? Or wilt thou endure?
As a realm walker, you have the ability to travel from one realm to another, which puts you on the search to find the magical city of Nightingale,
humanity's final beacon.
The mysterious Fae Puck acts as your guide on that quest. He stands out as a fascinating character, full of funny surprises as he leads you along early on, especially when he pops in just to razz you a bit.
I expected more than that lowly truss of sticks and the haphazard cudgel you now hold.
Unfortunately, every other character you meet is presented like this. The lack of other voices at Nightingale's early access launch is a shame, wasting the cool setting and structure Puck's introduction sets up. The realms you'll travel at least offer more than just a new sandbox to explore. The flora and fauna vary wildly, and each has unique hazards that are good at recontextualizing the survival aspects of Nightingale. Sure, the scorching heat of the desert is a pain if you aren't in the shade, but at least you aren't being beaten to death by this hail. The way each forces you to adapt to survive really drives home that these are untamed worlds you are simply lost within. Each realm has unique enemies. You might find yourself fighting these spiders in the swamp one moment, running from a pack of wolves in the forest another, and then having a duel with this guy in the desert the next. The designs of all of them look really cool, and the materials you gather from fallen foes become resources used for crafting or cooking. That last bit matters quite a bit, as this is a survival game in the truest sense, and sometimes the only thing between you and starvation is a giant bug for you to roast. Bon appetit. You have control over what realms you visit thanks to realm cards. Major realm cards can be played at portals, which then determines where that portal will lead. For example, you can create a mostly peaceful forest, perfect for building a base, by pairing a forest card with an abeyance card. Alternatively, you could combine a desert card with an industry-themed provisioner card to create a sparse and arid factory complex. It's a simple but powerful system, and one of the best parts of Nightingale. Once you step through the portal, the realm itself is procedurally generated, which often makes things feel disconnected. Sites like this start to repeat, taking away the novelty. You also can end up with important locations in weird places, forcing you to try to scale cliffs like this in hopes of finding a path up. The way that realm hopping ties into crafting and dungeon crawling is really clever too. Blueprints to create new realm cards come from dungeons, which are gated by the overall quality of your gear, and better blueprints and materials to upgrade your gear lie in higher level realms. It's a well-tuned loop that layers these systems together seamlessly, which makes investing time into any given task meaningful. Crafting is largely very good. Gathering materials to begin the typical climb from a destitute castaway to a thriving survivor is compelling. And if you've played pretty much any games like this before, your goals are very intuitive. For instance, early on, you are asked to create a mod that can be socketed into equipment to do things like increase durability or reduce stamina consumption. That requires an enchanter's focus, which needs lumber, which comes from a sawmill, which is built using animal fiber, which is made at a tanning station. By the time you actually craft the mod, you will have a small construction facility that would be the envy of any high school shop teacher. This accomplishes exactly what a good crafting system should do by rewarding you with tools and knowledge alongside the thing you set out to make. This setup is fun and engaging until it all comes to a screeching halt. There are gaps where higher level materials can't be crafted without more advanced tools, and those tools need those higher level materials in order to be built. So instead, you need to find a realm with a vendor who sells them. Crafting the card to access these realms can compound the issue by also requiring high-level materials, creating painful roadblocks that stop progression in its tracks. A resource called Essence forms the economic backbone of this adventure. And while it does a good job in the early going of simplifying a lot of things, it's also one of the main culprits behind this loss of momentum. It's used in crafting, to purchase goods from vendors, and to repair your equipment. Essence is awarded for completing puzzles or finishing dungeons, and can be extracted by scrapping any material or piece of equipment. The problem is that higher tier essences are needed for more powerful crafting and equipment, and those can be tedious to gather. They can only be found in specific realms, most commonly by clearing dungeons and solving simple puzzles like this one. It's really disappointing to be on the verge of crafting the last gear upgrade needed to advance in a quest, only to find out you are a few tier 1 essences short, sending you on a long march back to a portal and into a different realm to gather what's missing. Time sinks like this happen all the time in Nightingale. One quest requires a bunch of materials from the Bound, goblin-like enemies with a penchant for appearing out of thin air. That means figuring out the right realm with those specific Bound units, making the cards to get there, gearing up for said realm, and hunting until enough random drops fulfill your need. It takes way too long, especially when it's just one part of a larger task list to advance a single quest step. Thankfully, you don't need to walk the realms alone, and playing with friends is a great way to take some of the sting out of the slower parts of this adventure. A few simple clicks is all it takes to add a friend, party up, and invite them to your realm. You can share equipment freely, which is excellent if one player is further along and wants to gear up their buddy so they can join in some harder dungeon diving. It's particularly impressive that co-op is completely untethered, which means your friends are free to come and go through various realms, joining or separating as they see fit. Everyone can have one NPC following to help in combat or carry things as well, so getting a group of people together quickly forms a small army, which is good fun. It's also really nice to build together. Structures can be fully planned out before you spend anything, allowing you to design the fortress of your dreams, and then anyone can contribute materials to actually get it built. It feels really good to collaborate on a large building, planning and constructing it with friends. Everyone can even make it their home base, allowing them to load in and fast travel there anytime. There's also a late-game public area offering raid-like missions with random strangers, allowing you to work towards the highest level loot. There's not much to the endgame beyond just grinding these encounters out at the moment, but it's nice to have something to aim for after wrapping up the approximately 40-hour campaign. Just know that while the main questline itself has an end, the actual story around it isn't finished yet, presumably coming in some future early access update. Nightingale has a lot of good ideas at its early access launch, but they all seem to come with unfortunate caveats. The ability to create and jump to different types of realms offers almost limitless exploration, but it also means that they all feel too much like the same randomized bit smashed together. The setting and concept is really interesting, but not much is done with it yet outside of your charming guide Puck. There's an excellent crafting system that ties seamlessly into your overall progression, but that progress is halted with painfully long periods of fetching materials and farming essences too often. Nightingale is almost equal parts fun and infuriating, and as interesting as it is to explore the Fae Realms, anyone taking the plunge right now should be prepared for some frustration.
For more recent survival games, check out our reviews of Sons of the Forest's 1.0 launch or Pacific Drive. And for everything else, stick with IGN.